we've decided to do our presentation on three main areas of technology and economies, where the music and media industries are involved and how they impact or are indeed impacted. We're going to discuss certain advances into modern technology on a global scale, including blockchain and Bitcoin, leading us on to how we think today's economy is developing and will change due to the internet, which is not only changing our perceptions of trading and marketplaces around the world, but perhaps how we need to adapt to other changes that newer generations bring. In the later part of the presentation, we're going to talk about how certain genres have emerged due to cultural influences and how we connect and communicate. Music is more than just a profitable asset.
Blockchain. Here we have a quote from a book called Blockchain Revolution, which gives the definition. The blockchain is an incorruptible digital ledger of economic transactions that can be programmed to record not just financial transactions but virtually everything of value. Blockchain is a decentralized database that keeps records of digital transactions, using peer-to-peer networking which eliminates third parties like banks. So rather than having a central administrator, blockchain uses a distributed ledger. When a transaction is carried out, it is grouped together in a block with other transactions that have happened in the last 10 minutes. Miners, people who work for the blockchain companies, then validate the transaction by solving complex coding problems. When the block is validated, it is added to the blockchain in a chronological order. This is a big advantage to blockchain. It is virtually impossible to hack because all the blocks are linked. So if you wanted to hack one, you'd have to hack all the blocks in the chain. It is estimated that in order to successfully hack the Bitcoin blockchain, you need about 525 times the entire computing power available to Google.
So, what does blockchain mean for the industry? As we mentioned before, the current understanding of the blockchain network seems indestructible. For a music artist, producer or writer, this is a massive benefit in terms of security. File sharing will be a thing of the past, helping to make each song worth the exact amount the creator would decide. Not only is this defeating the file sharing that is so commonly used across the internet, including software like iTunes, but it can help overcome the temporary marketplace that is streaming. Spotify's method of monthly subscription payments are only really in favour of consumers. But even then, are Spotify's users actually owning anything they pay for? Blockchain's infrastructure is based on smart contracts. Programs that have payments attached essentially create ledger entries. The use of trusted cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum will cut out transaction fees and cuts usually taken from companies. The on-demand music service that we know will be quicker, more direct and more reliable. This direct relationship between creators and consumers eliminates the need for purchasing platforms like PayPal and financial brokers, helping artists and songwriters attain credit each time their song is played or used. A massive helping hand to amateur producers that don't have the financial backing of record labels. Security and payments aside, blockchain hopes to see a change in quality, especially with the formats available compared to the formats that are required by sites like YouTube and SoundCloud.
Although blockchain seems like a solid solution, there are some potential issues with it carrying on into the future. Firstly, because it's such a complex idea and piece of technology, this means that people may be reluctant to use it and don't understand it. When it comes to sensitive areas like money, people may be precautious to using this new technology as they are already happy with the current system. Another potential problem is that people might not be willing to pay for music now they've had the free option for so long. Ever since Napster and file sharing, consumers of music have enjoyed it for free. Spotify has just hit 100 million users, however only 30 million of these users are paid accounts. Next, we are going to talk about music and the economy, and how the growth of the internet might affect this. Here we have a quote from Paul Mason, which states, "There is a growing body of evidence that information technology, far from creating a new and stable form of capitalism, is dissolving it. And this reflects an ideology of how the work of humans may be becoming redundant in the light of the rapidly advancing technology we now have today and the huge effects over our economy we could see."
Paul Mason's book, Post-Capitalism, A Guide to Our Future, illustrates an in-depth understanding of how the digital revolution is under pressure from the looming capitalist society, but also how it can change the traditional concepts of work, production and value. In a way, this is already happening. In music and media, it is more self-releasing music online, or creating your own website or advert for products and services. Mason believes that the potential change stems from the most recent global financial crisis, and that in years to come, global economies will be forced to adapt to the ever-changing societies. He argues that the data that is collected from online sources can be used to study human behaviour and manipulate it to create ecological sustainability. Avoiding global crises like global warming and financial crashes are key in this research, along with improved working attitudes and removal of unnecessary jobs. We can already see these types of changes with the development and accessibility of music equipment and software. More and more artists are producing and self-releasing from their bedrooms instead of using expensive recording studios, which will perhaps put an end to the demand of producers and technicians. Distribution of recorded music has seen a massive change with the introduction of online file sharing and streaming, with physical formats like CDs and vinyl seeing a slow demise over the years. The internet has produced an unprecedented amount of resources for artists, helping them combat the common problems of getting noticed by A&R reps, managing record deals, legal issues, and finances through large companies. However, the rise of the internet has started to create jobs, like digital marketing through the use of social media. Younger generations who had never experienced life before the internet are more adept to these careers, as their social lifestyle seems to revolve around the web. Streaming services like Spotify are offering their own alternative to radio stations, allowing users to listen to related songs or artists, giving the opportunity for users to create their own playlist and forming today's instant gratification culture.
Next, we are going to talk about music and geography, exploring how different places curate different cultures and what it is that impacts the music, whether this be traditions, environmental factors, or external factors that affect different places. Here we have two quotes. If we accept the proposal that urban spaces shape our everyday social and economic behaviours, it seems only logical that our musical behaviour might also be affected by the unique dynamics of urban space. The next quote we have is from Tony Visconti, a producer for many big artists including David Bowie. When you record a group of musicians, you're not only recording the music, you're recording the environment. Music and Urban Geography is a book written by Adam Crims, which outlines a theory that the role of urban space has a huge effect on how music is created in cities around the world. He is questioning how different music genres react and are formed as a result of the changes in the cities in the developed world over the past few decades. In the next few slides, we are going to go through some different cities and some genres that have been defined there as a result of their unique urban space.
So the introduction of Motown to Detroit was believed to have stemmed from the migration of African American communities from Alabama and Mississippi looking for factory jobs. The traditional religious music, blues and jazz sounds started to filter into the Detroit culture, seeing the birth of Motown. The vast majority of Motor City residents in the 20th century lived not in high-rise apartments but in two-storey single-family homes, which made it easier for local piano manufacturers Grinnell Brothers to deliver pianos to families. Today, Motown is not only the greatest pop music hit factory ever heard, but an institution. The distinctive upbeat and uplifting music brought together pop and soul. Motown became the heartbeat of American pop culture. One of the purest and strongest dance genres to emerge from South Africa since 2005. The influence the music has on taxi companies who strive to be the most popular has helped shape the culture in the small townships around Durban. A lack of technology and equipment that is used when creating has never hindered the production, and many believe that the music created on a 20-year-old computer and an ancient version of Fruity Loops is the most authentic aspect.
Grime has really come to the forefront of urban music recently and is even beginning to gain worldwide recognition. In the early stage of its genre, around 2004, the urban space and geography of London really helped to shape this genre. Grime started out of pirate radio culture, which was made possible by the tower block housing projects put into place around that time. These tower blocks were tall enough to broadcast around London, expanding the genre. Tower blocks also created a social hub for creativity. Social impacts such as gang influences and the urban landscape of London created the darker themes and sounds of grime. Although techno was not invented in Berlin, it came to be seen as the techno capital of the world. One of the main factors which shaped this city to be so heavily involved in dance music is the fact that it is perfectly suited for these types of parties, due to its empty space. When the Berlin Wall came down, 30% of buildings were empty in East Berlin, so inhabited by this music scene, with abandoned warehouses and underground bunkers all over the city.